Good evening, gentlemen. How are we all doing?
Good evening, mate. The timer didn't go that quick, did it?
Yeah, I'm
I
good.
blinked and it was like 5 seconds, and before I knew it, it was at 0. Jesus. That was rapid. That's all
Sorry,
I
you
can
got
say
this
about
out.
that. There's nothing
I
else.
feel like...
I mean, quick, put the laughter track in.
Where is it? Oh, God.
No, it's too
No,
late.
I'm doing it. I've lost it. I've
Where's the
lost
laughter
it.
track?
Hold on.
Right, there you go. Happy as you saved face.
I wonder if that's...
That's how they made Friends funny.
As you can tell, Dave, we're a very serious podcast here over at Chat Shit Get Fit.
Absolutely.
Evidence-based.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Dave, welcome. We're back with another Chat with PTs episode, and this week we're interviewing someone very special. Is Dave. So basically, Dave is the new head coach of Train Primal. Now, we've mentioned Train Primal a few times over the last few months. Obviously, when Andy was on the podcast, he was involved. He is no longer involved. And that left a nice little spot open. And I've known Dave for quite a few years now. I met him during his time in the army. He's now out of the army, but when he was in the army, we knew each other very well. And that's how I knew him, and I knew of his background, and that's why we're going to go into it. We're going to go into all of this anyway. But your new role, Dave. So you've jumped onto the Train Primal team as basically you do all the programs for Primal Apex and Primal Fit. Now, both these programs, obviously, we don't market it as Apex as a CrossFit program, because if you're aware of the CrossFit world, it's there's a lot of legalities involved with plastering that name anywhere. So even though we spoke about the controversy of using the term functional fitness, because anything's functional if it's functional for your needs, but it is technically functional fitness competitors program. That's basically what it's labelled as. And then Primal Fit is pretty linked, I'd say, isn't it, Dave? It's very similar in design, isn't it? Apart from it's just stripped back a little bit.
It's just scaled back a bit. So you're just not doing as much volume because you're not a competitor. You don't need that volume. You just need to live life to your fullest. So that's what the program's there to design.
Yeah, it's very. Yeah, no, that's what I like about it, is the fact it can take up to an hour a day, and it's 5 days a week, which is perfect for someone who's doing it during the week. And the weekend they could chill out. Hopefully not go rogue, because that's what we downfall for a lot of people. Weekend going rogue and then they lose all their results. But it's been really good to have you on board. I think you've been on board for about a month now, isn't it? I mean, and you've already done loads of good programming. I've had some really good feedback from it. Yeah. Right. What are we going to finish? Are we finishing with a bang? What are we going for?
We're going with excessive chalk using.
Oh,
yes.
So this is interesting. This is very interesting because
this goes against the previous thing that was said, wasn't it? Yes.
Well, I mean, me and Dave, obviously, we love a bit of CrossFit, and CrossFit is notorious for its chalk usage. I mean, if you go to a commercial gym and you whack out a bit of chalk, chaos. People look at you. I mean, Tom, you work in a commercial gym, and I guarantee you're like, what is he about to do with that chalk?
I've had to justify just chalk by itself to my managers, but excessive chalk, it's a different story, ain't it?
How excessive we talk about, Dave? Talk to me.
They've come in there, they've then cloud of chalk around them, and then it's still even loose in their hand, so it's not even doing anything what they've just asked, put it on there to do. So they've actually just made themselves even less grippier on the bar, and then they come off the bar and then it's embedded in the knurling.
Oh, yeah, that's it for me. Yeah,
that's excessive.
Yeah. Excessive is then it's like Pablo Escobar has been to the box or the gym. Or when they clap it so much that it turns into like a big smoke screen. It's like fucking Batman supposed to appear through the shadows, It's like really like massive cloud. But what you just said there, I mean, Bill, let me just grade this straight away. This excessive chalk use is a 10 for me. That is severe. That is
really?
severe. Yeah, because as someone that actually owns a barbell as well, Bill, you own a barbell.
Yeah.
If you don't get chalk out of the knurling, and you've got that moisture from the sweat in it, it rusts the barbell to fuck, and it just looks grim as well. So one, it just looks grim, and two, it rusts the shit out of the bar. And if you've got, so for me, especially when it's like a fresh bar, when my gym opened up, it was a brand new gym, a brand new build, which meant brand new barbells. And within a month, and do you know what? It just so happened that my gym has a few CrossFitters there that do use a lot of chalk. And they completely fucked these bars for us. Within a month, I was scrubbing fucking rust out the knurling, everything. It was horrendous. So for me, that is a 10. But only excessive chalk use, not just chalk use, excessive amounts. And people that don't wipe it off afterwards. Yeah, that's really frustrating.
I think that's where those, the chalk blocks, they could be quite handy because they kind of stop you from spraying everywhere because you kind of just like do that little rub over your hands and it's sort of just that
Yeah.
Oh, the chalk ball.
yeah, the
Like the little sock full of it, yeah.
Or anything like, because I mean, if you put your hand just into like a bag of chalk,
Yeah.
it just sort of fucking explodes, doesn't it?
Yeah. But with the bricks, what a lot of people do is they just grab the brick. If I just rub their hand on the brick, they'll actually break it and crumble it into powder anyway, which kind of goes against the whole idea of having a brick in the first place.
I've seen people rub the chalk on the bars and stuff like that instead.
That's another one that grips my shit.
So, like, they're just like, what are you doing? Are you paying for that bar afterwards, are you?
Yeah.
That is a 10. That is a 10.
I feel that's as part of the imagery of CrossFit though. If you're not surrounded by chalk, like a cloud of chalk when you're doing Fran or something, then you're not, are you really CrossFit?
No.
Yeah.
Well, you must have seen that the CrossFit video. They did one taking the piss out of themselves about excessive, and they're like, the room is literally like a sauna, but of just dust of chalk, and it's like, they're chalking up for things you don't even need to chalk up for, like a handstand walk or something like that, and it's like, bro, you haven't got enough chalk on. Here you go. Here's some chalk.
Like about to do a magic trick, smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Yeah. CrossFit knows that it happens.
I mean, Tom, you've just said a 10.
Yeah, 10. Easy.
I think from a professional standpoint, it's got to be at least a 9 for me, just because of that whole thing about the wrecking of kit. And obviously, when you go to a gym, and then who's got to clean all that chalk up, and it's just caked over the floor. You've got a nice black gym mat in, and next thing you know, it's covered in fucking Charlie. It's like
handstand prints.
Handstand prints. That's when you know CrossFit's been in the commercial gym. You just see handprints. You're like, what the fuck? What have they been doing there?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna say a 9. I think. Yes, that surprised me, that one, Dave. I'll be honest with you, because chalk. It's definitely a very CrossFit.
I rarely use it. I really only use it when it gets hot up here, and I dab it on.
Really?
And that is it. Yeah, I prefer to work on my grip.
Nice. I just love chalk. I'll be honest with you. I'm always using chalk.
It's part of the ritual, innit?
Bill puts on his face when he goes in there.
I'm simming it.
To be fair, when I was in my cringy phase of where like weightlifting for me was like, oh yeah, it's like almost fucking going to war and I've got to do my rituals. I used to do the big chalk. Whoa, fucking! What was that?
Some shit.
I'm not in my own house, so I don't know what's here.
That was
There's actually a horse just over there, which is quite ominous. But I mean, I used to get a big powdered hand and do it on my chest, and that was part of my ritual. And now I just
chalk on the
that.
chest.
Yeah, chalk on the chest, big handprint.
All right, Tom, you know where to go, mate. Get yourself in bed with the obvious.
Yeah, I've atoned for my sins since then.
Stop using chalk. You stop using chalk. Oh dear. It feels like we're getting a lesson plan every time you do a workout on the Train Primal stuff. I mean, when you go to, like, if you're not aware of it, we've got like on our workout page, you've got like a coach's notes, which is like where the athlete can see, which is basically what Dave puts in. He'll put like demonstrations of all the movements, sort of key points to look out for, regressions, progressions, and another thing I love that I never even thought about before you jumped on was a stimulus phase, which is quite interesting. So you might not be aware of this, Tom, but basically if you've got a workout, for example, you obviously want to have a desired stimulus. It's not supposed to be full send every time. It's not supposed to be an hour of grizzing out fizz. You want to have a stimulus, don't you? Whereas these assess phases, you kind of like do a round or something similar to a round of the workout you're going to go into, and there'll be like a time domain, for example. It will say this should be done in less than 4 minutes. If it takes you longer than 4 minutes, it then gives you opportunities to scale that workout so you're hitting the right stimulus. Because if you were then to just go and do the workout anyway, it would take you way longer, or you'd be struggling way harder than you should do. And I think that's a really good thing that we've added in, just because it starts people overtraining, it keeps people hitting the right stimulus, which makes people progress better, and then obviously ultimately be better competitors, I think. Which is something I think has been really good.
I mean, sometimes you look at the practice rounds, you're like, oh my god,
yeah,
the workout's going to be long enough anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get what you mean. It can be quite daunting. Think I've got to do another round. I've got to do another 5 rounds after this. But it is. I think it's necessary, especially on the competitors program, because if you're competing, you want to be hitting the right stimulus every time. You don't want to be. You don't want to be in that grey area.
You a parameter of what is expected. Yeah, you're not just going in half-assed. You're not going in. Blindfolded, basically. That's cool.
It's good you've been able to it's good you've been able to keep your sort of training sort of up there. I think we've spoken about before about exercise, the benefits of exercise on things like mental health, not only just physical health, especially with lockdowns. It's been really good. I mean, people say, oh, you've got no kit, doesn't matter, you can still exercise. But for some people, like having that kit motivates them to want to exercise, having that sort of an area, like a designated area to do exercise. Like just doing some squats in your living room is all good and well, but if your living room is associated with your chill out Netflix time, the last thing you want to do is a fucking AMRAP of burpees in your living room where your headspace won't be there. So, I mean,
no, absolutely.
We've all three of us have been, I'd say, quite fortunate. I mean, Tom, I know you've had some areas. You've got your summer house, as you call it. You've had certain areas where you've been able to train. I think
not allowed in there anymore. Yeah.
What? You're not allowed in there anymore? What? Sorry, rewind. What?
Well, I put a fucking hole in the floor, didn't I?
Was that you trying to do CrossFit?
Press. Yeah, I was trying to do a push press. Yeah. So this is what happens when I try and do CrossFit. I do a push press and I forgot you're supposed to keep holding the bar.
We just launched it up in the air.
I just launched up in the air, I had a fucking brain freeze. I launched up in the air and it's almost like, oh, fuck, I've left the gas on. Forgot to keep hold of the barbell and it just fucking launched. It went straight through the floor.
Wall ball with a bar?
Yeah, wall ball with a bar, yeah.
It was only 30 kilos, mine, but still, it has those hex plates on it. So, it's got like a sharp corner on the plates and that just went, straight through the floorboard.
And then you got banned.
Yeah.
So going forward anyway, Dave, what are you specifically, especially with like your new role with Train Primal, what are you looking forward to kind of going forward in the future? Is there anything,
For me, it's just getting more into the programming side. So I've done CrossFit's online programming course, which was really insightful because I've been trying to program CrossFit for a while and it's actually a lot harder than I thought it was originally to program.
Well, Dave,
good.
So what you're telling me is it's not just 45-hour AMRAPs every single day. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Is that CrossFit's not?
It is not. No. Yeah. So like, there's many variables that need to be added in. So you kind of work on like a 2-week program, kind of like area. So in that 2 weeks you're going to fit in everything you need to, or thereabouts, and then you work off of that. Like a rope climb, you need to add it in probably like do a rope climb every 3 weeks. All right, it's going to be in there. It doesn't need to be done any day, all the time, because you're going to work on the muscles that are going to be helping that anyway from other workouts. But to keep the skill, it needs to be in there. If you want to compete, then you do it a little bit more frequently, that kind of thing. So for me, with the primal stuff, it's just I want to get incredible at programming CrossFit style programs. Yeah. So that's really where I want to be going. I want to go more coach, more program kind of orientated.
Yeah, I like it. And obviously we've got loads of good content that's going to be coming out, because at the moment, obviously it's just the online program and stuff, but obviously we're in the talks of getting more video content out where we're going to have some more breakdowns of movements, more coaching, more sort of FaceTime, as much as we can really. But yeah, in terms of the programming already has been really good. It's so different to what we had before. And I feel like before it was a functional fitness competitor's program. However, it wasn't as specific as it is now, if that makes sense. So obviously you see what it used to be, Dave, and obviously our members, they obviously liked it, they enjoyed it. However, it's very different now in terms of its specificity, and I feel like it's honed in a little bit more.
It's been tweaked.
just from going through it. It's been tweaked just from testing the workouts. It's a lot more simple as well, and it's a lot more accessible to people in terms of it's not as daunting. Especially with our new application, we just moved over to a new app as well, which has helped. And the way it's working now is it's so much more progressive. So not only is CrossFit in nature progressive, as you mentioned, Tom, earlier, the programs are. So Primal Life, you start from there. The cheapest one, the least volume, really good for beginner. Well, I wouldn't say beginner. You probably want to get a one-to-one coach if you're a brand new beginner. That's my recommend. Obviously, not everyone can afford that, which is fine.
It's still
but my personal thing is, if you're a beginner, probably best. But Primal Life's the bottom one. Then obviously you go up to Fit and Apex, and obviously Dave does both of those. And as you said, they're very similar. However, the volume's just different, because we discussed strength and conditioning, which even then, going back a bit more, we spoke in another podcast how there's almost gatekeeping with strength and conditioning, how it should be, and how strength and conditioning must be like this. Well, we spoke with CrossFit. CrossFit is essentially, at its core, it could be classed as strength and conditioning.
And it is. 100%. It is a variation of strength and conditioning.
and what you've done is you've basically had that core principle in the Primal Fit program, which is our strength and conditioning program, and then with Apex, all we've basically done is you've just added more of the skill elements and added a bit more of the volume where it's needed, that your capacity is higher for these for competing, really. Which I think makes it flow really well, and it offers that progression for people, where they can think, actually, you know what, I want to take this to the next level now. And it's not a shock, because if sometimes you go from one program to another and it's vastly different, it's like, whoa, what the fuck what have I stepped into? Whereas now it'll almost feel like a natural progression. Like, okay, I can see where this is, how I've progressed here, which I think's I think people are going to really like when they get stuck into it. Tom, take it away, mate. What you got?
My one, and Bill, you're not going to like this, but so obviously, Bill, you are basically the director and owner of Train Primal. So what I want to ask you, Dave, honest opinion, what is Bill like as a boss? Is he a bit of a shit? Is he a bit like Hitler-y? I mean, the thing is, like, I know that he hasn't even got like a HR department. Now, I know some people... Right,
why are you bringing Hitler into this again?
Because we call you the Führer. Because you're mostly known as the Führer. It's not even like I gave you that nickname. You actually demanded to be called a Führer. That's your fault. But, I know for a fact...
Just disclaimer, that's not fucking
I
true.
know,
that's not.
All right,
that's
well, here's
not
a disclaimer. I know for a fact that you purposely chose not to have a HR department. It's not because it's a family-run business. It's because you purposely chose not to have a HR department. And this is why, because I get to ask Dave, what's he like really as a boss, Dave? What's he really like? Yeah, he's
terrifying.
Oh, here we go.
You wake up in the morning and you just think, I've got to do a bill again. I wonder what he's going to make me do this kind of week. Another yoga video, another movement video.
Oh, fuck's sake!
Nah, he's sound. Absolutely.
I'll leave you to it. I'll leave you to it, don't I, Dave?
He's all right.
Yeah. He just occasionally just sends us a little. Any chance of a video this week or next? I was like, yeah. I'll
and then it gets
something
aggressive if you don't do it on time.
Yeah. And he's very open to ideas as well, which was awesome.
Well, I mean, if we go back a bit, it was originally before we obviously got 3 Primal programs. It was called Primal Assault originally.
It was, wasn't it?
Cast their minds back. It was actually Dave's idea. Kevin, he was like, right, Bill, what do you think of this? And I'm not fucking closed-minded to think, no, it must be this way. I don't like change. When we sat, we had a discussion about it, I was like, fucking hell, this new Primal Apex actually makes a lot more sense. And I was thinking, why did we not fucking think of this before? And there's been things like this where, I mean, at the end of the day, when I said to you, do you want to be the head coach? That's what I meant.
Even the name as well, Apex. I actually remember when I saw the change, I actually remember texting you, Bill, saying I like the name change. It goes well with the Primal, terminology, etc. So that was a good shout.
Well, yeah, I got it because obviously from the Primal aspect, but mainly because of the logo, you got 2 Apex Predators on the logo. So I was just like, well, that guess goes because it's your top end program with the top end species.
I mean, the funny thing is as well is around the time it actually got changed to Apex, I had just rewatched Predator, the movie, which I've been told was not based on a true story. But I mean, I just watched that around the time.
This is also a conspiracy, by the way.
That really did happen. That really did happen in the 80s. But yeah, I mean, when I saw Apex, I was kind of in that frame of mind at the time. Like, this is fucking awesome. I like this. I remember texting Bill about it. So, yeah, that is sick. I do like it.